Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG podcast video. Not a TCG tabletop video today. We're actually on the Wonder Tag podcast. What's going on? Where am I? No, we're gonna talk some meta today. We're gonna go over the best decks, the top meta decks, kind of some specific stuff, some things to look out for, card inclusions, maybe if we have specific notes on a matchup to talk about. Really, just to try to get you guys some details on all the top meta decks before Toronto Regionals, as of course, we did our tier list last week. So if you didn't see that tier list, go check it out. I think it was pretty well done. Um, but yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Jackson, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Regional weekend. Always excited for hometown regional. So we're just getting prepared for that. Nothing too crazy over here. I got a Charizard class in just over an hour. We're gonna be having some fun over there. So if you guys want to come check that out, I'll leave a link to the description. Link in the description of the VOD there. Should be a good time. So we'll get right to the point. We're all business today. I think we're gonna cover our probably the top, let's say five, maybe six meta decks. It's a pretty centralized format, so I don't think we're gonna be. Oh, come on,
Seven,
man.
top seven
Six
things.
every time, man. Every single time I look at the comments, there's some sort of comment.
Yo, okay, wait. Sorry to interrupt you, but I have to go on a little tangent here. I was at League the other week against a local teenager, Marcelo. I don't know how old he is, maybe 16. Okay, I was about to say, okay. Anyways, he's 16 or 17, but I was playing against. Okay, I was playing against him, and I made a joke about 6'7", and he told me I was too old to make 6'7" jokes, and it broke my heart. So Marcelo, if you're watching this, man, that was not cool because that was hilarious. But anyways,
All business from this point on.
yes,
Yeah, we'll get right into it. So I think we touched about your deck choice a little bit last week, and you were saying that you're pretty up in the air now. You seem to be pretty locked on Dragapult. I checked out your recent tabletop gameplay video. That's a legendary. That's the thumbnail right there. Actually, I'm gonna make sure I
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
clip.
Take the
I
screenshot.
gotta clip that. Yeah. And yeah, you're kind of up in the air. So why don't we start by talking about Gardevoir here? That's
Sure.
I think the deck that we've had a lot of development with list wise recently. Uh, Henry Chow
Yeah.
coming out with this luxurious cape list. Makani winning 6 win-a-box tournaments, posting on Twitter every single week. This deck is the best way to play Gardevoir. Is a jealous Gardevoir? Should you play Diancie in your deck? How do you feel about your Gardevoir list going into this weekend?
Yeah, I think the list I've been playing is still the best. Um, and I'll talk about that. But what I actually think is if you're playing Guardy and you have a Guardy list that you've been playing for a long time, whether it's Drifloon or Latias and like the 2/1/2 Guardy or like the old Evo stuff, I would actually just recommend most people play whatever Guardy list they've been playing. I don't think it's like a big deal. Um, but I do like the kind of, I guess, hybrid build, the Arvin focused strategy with the balloon and the Evo. I think turn one Frillish is really, really important against Donzard, which is kind of a recent development. I think the TM Evo is really good versus Dragapult, which, I mean, isn't a new development, but like, I feel like people are kind of talking more about Dragapult, maybe because
Yes.
Donzard has been seeing success. Um, and I definitely like the jelly build for the Dango matchup. Although we were talking earlier, and you think that uh, the charm build is also solid into Dango. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's really really interesting. I think that Dengo matchup, as long as you have a Frillish in your deck, you're gonna be okay almost no matter what. I did a lot of heavy charm versus Dengo testing without the Frillish, and it definitely felt a little Dengo favored. We put the Frillish into the deck, and I think very suddenly it felt commandingly favored for Gardevoir. And I think the versatility of the Frillish combined with just how big of a deck Gholdengo is, I think definitely justifies that slot, regardless of whether you choose to play any sort of Jellicent line or just the straight Charm build. Uh, Myself personally, if I was going to play Gardevoir this weekend, I think I would just stick with something very similar to what you're saying, the 3-2-2 Guardy with the 2-1
Mhm.
Jellicent and looking at the one copy of TM Evo. I like that hybrid build. I know that it maybe isn't as strong in getting turn one Frillish as the Latias build, or maybe isn't as consistent
Mhm.
as Evoing as just a double Evo build, but it does both of these things really, really well, and I think it's very well rounded in a format where you have to cover bases against aggro decks with Dengo and Donzard, as well as slower matchups in Gardevoir and Dragapult. I think that having your bases covered with item lock as well as aggro is actually really, really important. And I think that Jellicent version does that really, really well. So I actually agree with you for this one time. I don't know about the third Arvin in the deck. I might play two Arvins. I don't know if I can get
That's
behind the third
okay.
one, but I am a fan of that. So I'd have to. I haven't played that air balloon in a long, long time, but when I played the air balloon in Pittsburgh, that card actually felt like phenomenal. I remember I would use it, I want to say like even a third of my games. I got really, really good value. And then when I played the Latias, I was maybe only used the Latias like 10% of my games. I do think I
Hmm.
got better value out of the air balloon when I was playing that version of the deck. Uh, could be a little bit of a biased data set, but that's just my take on it.
No, I think it's good. I mean, obviously the air balloon gets you into Frillish. It's also like sometimes useful in other ways, like maybe you
Secret
want to.
box fodder.
Okay, yeah, like honestly, yeah, secret box fodder. Sometimes it goes on Guardy. Like there's like situations where you put like a lot of your energies into play, and your Guardy could be like counter catcher trapped. It can go on Fez as well, which is also something like specifically in my head, I'm thinking about Pull, where like they can bring up your Fez, hit it for 200, not kill it, or like bring up your Guardy, hit it for 200. Right, like that stuff is really annoying. Um, what about the Watchtower? Something that I don't think. Well, not that I think. If I play Guardy this weekend, I will not be playing a Watchtower. Um, I don't think it's necessary to beat Donzard, and I definitely don't think it's a good idea to play a Watchtower at the expense of an Artisan.
Yeah, this is a good topic. Mystery Garden is also interesting in this spot. I feel like the Latias build maybe gets a little bit more value from the Watchtower from jamming Disruption more aggressively. You already play Mystery Garden, yes, to use Mystery Garden, but also because it's not Artisan, you bump Dango's Artisan. So Watchtower at least still fulfills a similar role there. I also just think a lot of it boils down to how much of a percentage boost you get. I think with Jelly Guardy specifically, it probably is the version that gets the biggest boost. I think it pairs nicely with Devo. It blocks them from
Yeah,
re-evolving
the
into
Noctowl.
Noctowl and reusing Jewel Seekers. So I think that's very strong in that version of the deck as well. So I think I would play it if I was playing a Latias version of the deck, but I don't think I would play it in any other version of the deck.
I
I think
think with the Arvin build, you secret box a lot on like turn one, turn two. So then you're not able to secret box for Watchtower, like your Watchtower Iono play very often. It's like kind of awkward where like now you probably don't want to Arvin for box on turn one. Like there's some tension there.
Yeah, and it's one of those matchups where the games are in terms of how many turns the games take, they're pretty quick, and so you
Quick.
can't really dig for Watchtower as like a guaranteed piece the way that against Gholdengo, for example, you kind of get to zero cards as the Guardy player. You're able to
Yeah.
find all of your one ofs, your Devo, your Charm, your Turo, right? You can find all of these one ofs against Dengo very reliably, so it's okay to just play one, but finding one Watchtower against a Donzard that's slamming Charizard and Dusknoir turn two, turn
Yeah.
three, winning the game oftentimes on, even depending if you bench a two prizer, it can even win the game on turn four. Uh,
Yeah.
you get into a lot of trouble there. So I don't think that it necessarily is the most accessible card for Guardy, which is a big part of playing a one of. You got to be able to access it, and yeah, that Arvin build doesn't do it as nicely as the Jelly build with just one Arvin. You're going to be able to save your secret box a little bit later. Um, Maybe because you're bricking because you have less supporters in your deck, but you're normally not going to be forced to use your boxes early. And I think your deck is also at least a little bit better at thinning because you do have that extra copy of Nest Ball. You get into
Yep.
Pheasantipity more reliably. Uh, so yeah, I think that's the one spot that I'd look to put it in.
All right.
Also,
Anything? I think that. Oh, yeah. Another thing
okay.
on Guardy.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say with that Latias build on the note of like air balloon, I find that it's like so annoying when your only two tools are bravery charm and Devo. When I want to secret box away a tool, it always feels so gross if it's a Devo matchup. I feel like my Devo just ends up in the discard pile whenever I see Arven in my opening hand. Always Arvening for Devo secret box and tossing away Devo or vice versa with the charm. So on the note of like Arvin for or Secret Box for Air Balloon or Arvin for Air Balloon, Secret Box it away. I think it's a very non-trivial thing to have additional Secret Box value. Like even when I've been playing Charizard, I've like considered cutting down to like one stadium in Charizard or playing only two tools in Charizard. And when you lose value from your Secret Box, the card kind of sucks. Like
Yeah.
getting one or two cards off of Secret Box when you're out of I guess maybe not one, but two cards off of Secret Box when you're out of stadiums and
And
tools,
tools.
you never get good Ultra Ball value afterwards. So the discard three feels a whole lot worse. So I'm pro tools. Maybe not doesn't necessarily have to be air balloon, but having a reasonable amount of tools in your Gardevoir deck, I am a big fan.
Yeah. Play multiple Evo. If you're doing like the multi Evo build, that kind of works. Or
Yeah. If
yeah.
you're playing the luxurious cape, that should end up in the discard pile anyways, because that card is trash.
So bad, bro. Yeah, yeah. I can't even speak to that. Like, I just think the card sucks. I never tried it, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, I did try it a little bit, and I always would come into these situations where like, oh, in theory, the luxurious cape could be really good here,
Could
and
close
then
out the game.
in practice, I would be like staring at a turn one hand where I had to attach Luxcape to restart, and then suddenly I have like an 170 HP Ralt that just gets knocked out for two prizes.
Sick.
Yeah, no, I was not getting good value out of that, so I think I would at least just play the two charms. I understand like Screamtail for
Yeah.
320 or 280 is pretty good to knock out things like Pidgeot or even Lopunny, but I
Yeah.
I might be a little bit too traditional, but I'm not feeling it.
No, me neither. All right, you want to talk? You want to go to Zard next, or do you want to do Dango?
Yeah, let's talk some Zard.
Okay.
So Zard is I feel like Zard's probably the most on the radar that it has been in like a long time, even more so than after I won Milwaukee. Like I feel like Dragapult play rate increased after Milwaukee, but not nearly as much as post Stuttgart, which is
Mhm.
surprising because I think North American metas are actually less sensitive to European results in general. But this one seems to have really shaken up the percentages. Like Dragapult, I think is a lot bigger. I think Watchtower usage rate is a lot bigger. So it puts you in an interesting spot trying to figure out how you want to do it. Donsard has, I think, probably like the biggest upside out of any deck in the format. You dodge Dragapult, your matchup spread is just insanely strong.
Yeah.
You beat all of the junk very consistently. All of your Gardevoir versions are at least slightly favored. Some may
Yeah.
argue me on that, as in general, Guardy players will, but I think you're at least slightly favored to most of the into most of the Guardy versions. Um, but you do have issues really bad with a very popular Dragapult deck. You're complete dog. You have Watchtower issues against decks that play Ionos, things like Zoroark even. Uh,
Yeah.
you look at Gardevoir is playing a little bit more Watchtower. Specifically, I'm worried about decks that play Ionos. I think if your opponent doesn't play Iono, Watchtower is pretty trivial. You can just Jewel Seeker for your second area 0 ahead of time. You can use Jewel Seeker to stash pieces in your hand before the Watchtower blocks your Noctowl in the first place. So uh, I'm specifically worried about those few decks, and I do think they'll see a little bit of play. So you have to make a little bit of an educated guess. I think that the Charizard Pidgeot Dusknoir is a little bit more well-rounded in that sense. You have less upside, but you also have less downside. You're not really going to lose the game to a random Watchtower that often. You don't have to worry about an unplayable Dragapult matchup, but you're not going to have as many good matchups to prove uh, your Gardevoir matchup. I think is about the same. I think your Dragapult matchup is better. I think your Gholdengo matchup is worse. I think you're a dog against Charizard as well. So
Hmm.
at least
Hmm.
against the top four specifically, I do think Charizard feels at least a little bit stronger. Um, but the random watchtower percentage, you kind of have to figure out how much you value that. One of the cards, I don't know if you've played any Raging Bolt, but the uh, the Chen Pao. Have you played the
Oh,
Raging Bolt with
yeah,
Chen
yeah, yeah.
Pao? That
Yeah, you
card is
could play that. Oh,
actually,
you could play that in Zard.
yeah, you can actually play Chen Pao in Zard, and it's like my 61st card right now, and honestly, maybe if I played Donzard, I don't have to worry about it because I'm not playing Donzard. But maybe if I was playing
Mhm.
Donzard, I would just put the Chen Pao in. It's kind of cool. You can do the same thing that Raging Bolt does, where you like ditch off your
Your
liabilities.
yeah, your fan rotom. You could like get your Fez and you can get your Terapagos off the board, which sounds
Yeah,
kind of good sometimes.
yeah, actually, again, in Charizard Mirror, a lot of times you get into trouble where you have like Terapagos or Fez on the board, and they can just get to
Yeah,
one prize card pretty easy because you guys are like tied on 3-3. Like, drop the Fez, drop the Terapagos, and then suddenly they have no sort of win condition, or even dropping off like a damaged Charizard or against like Grimmsnarl. It's really powerful, discarding Fan
yeah,
Rotom, discarding Noctowl. So Chen Pao is really cool. You can Dawn search for it, so it effectively gives you 6 additional stadium bumps. You got one Ultra Ball, 4 Dawns, and Chen
and the
Pao.
Champo.
So it's pretty significant. So I do think with Watchtower at an all-time high, I would definitely be considering that card this weekend,
I like that. I've never thought of that. Makes a lot of sense.
dude. And there's a pre-release promo, so you can get a little,
You can bling it out.
yeah, you can bling it out. Because my Charizard, I got like the staff Tatsugiri and the staff Chiyu. You can get a little
Yeah,
staff
yeah.
Chen Pao in your deck.
Ooh. What do those run you? Like $100 for the staff pre-release promos, or
I have
is
no
it more or
idea, man.
less?
I don't run
No.
pre-releases anymore. I used to run pre-releases at Banana, so I
Oh,
would just
cool.
get all the staff promos for free. But I'm no longer
I
staff,
see.
so
Ah,
uh, like I'm not gonna have any like staff Lunatones when I start playing Mega Lucario post rotation. I don't think I'm
no,
gonna be.
Mega Lucario is going to be lit
People
when
always see
Guardy
my.
goes.
Oh, it's gonna be so lit. People always see my Tatsugiri and say like, "Why aren't you using the IR ones?" And I just point to the little staff.
The
I'm
staff,
like,
they're
"Oh,
like, oh,
oh."
very
and,
nice.
and then they get it. Then they get it.
Yeah, that you're
Yeah,
actually playing the higher bling level than
I
the
know.
the IR.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I didn't have to pay for it, so it's also better in that sense. The
sick.
Tatsugiri IR is like $30, man, or maybe I think it was. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So, uh, any cards to consider elsewhere in Charizard? I don't know how much you play Charizard. Have you done any thinking about it?
No, I mean I played it kind of like when it really released. I was trying like the more turbo Donzard build. Um, it ended up just not really being good. I like especially I was playing one Terapagos at one point. That was really terrible. But I do
Yeah.
think the way you want to play the deck is generally just be consistent. Oh, one other card I think like we mentioned before we move on is Pidgeotto. Um, that's a card that like personally as a Gardevoir player, might like I'm item lock spamming. I love that a lot of lists don't play a Pidgeotto. I think the winning list didn't have one.
No, I didn't. No, Pidgeotto is
Okay.
super good.
It's super good. Okay.
I think that Pidgeotto almost is like staple at this point, but there's no
Oh, you did.
tournament
Okay.
results for people to actually play Pidgeotto. But I think when I see people post like the exact Donzard 60, because it comes across my feed, people post like the exact same 60 like 3 times a day, I think. I normally
Yeah.
do see the Pidgeotto in there, like I think at least half the time. But
Okay.
I think that card is actually like mandatory. It's just the fan call value for Pidgeotto is just unreal as a deck that goes first. Uh, there's even like a lot of games where I open like a Pidgeot, uh, and a Fan Rotom or like a Poffin, and my hand's dead, and then Pidgeotto just opens up 2 more like live cards in the Pidgeots, so I'm able to get into like turn 3 Pidgeot and then play the game. So between Jelly Guardy, between Dragapult, I think it's worth playing for sure.
Dragon Ball. Yeah. All right. Cool. Um, Dango.
Dango. Dango
All right.
is Dango's like so weird. I feel like Dango was like the best deck in the format for a little bit and had a crazy high conversion rates. In Stuttgart, I think it was like one of the best converting decks. Went up to 22% in day 2, something along that lines. but I'm feeling a little bit of a Dango downswing for this tournament.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't see it getting any higher. I guess I it's kind of hard, but I think that like the Charizard play rate is kind of scary for a lot of Dango players. I think that matchup is pretty tough for them.
Yeah.
Uh, and I like at least I don't know if you've talked to any of the people that are considering Dango. I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily like just like how the deck plays.
As far as agency?
Um, agency, honestly, agency, but also maybe just overall deck function. I've had the amount of games where I feel like I do get there a lot, but if the amount of games where I like open double rock one gimme ghoul and I'm praying that they don't have like a high roll into
Yeah.
knockout on my only gimme ghoul. Um, like if I go like knockout Ralts turn one and I have one gimme ghoul on my board and they go Candy Guardy Screamtail my only gimme ghoul or Candy Charizard Countercatcher my only gimme ghoul, right? Like these types of games feel really hard to win, but if you don't get like a aggressive first turn prize, second turn prize, I think a lot of times the games feel at least a little bit out of your control. So I still think the deck is insanely strong. It has really good high roll potential, but I think
Hmm.
people are a lot more aware of the weaknesses of the deck now and how to play against it. Like I've cleaned up my play, I think, a lot against Gholdengo, and I've made a lot of conscious decisions that have actually made the matchup feel a lot better. Looking at ideas of like benching Chiyu with an energy on turn one, looking at
That's
ideas of
good.
actually not putting Pidgeot in play to avoid the two
Yeah.
prizer if I can afford to take away some of your opponent's winning lines. And I think even like Dragapult players have started to exploit that a lot more too. So it means that you have a few more bases to cover in terms of just kind of getting there on the raw consistency, but you also have to deal with Gardevoir with Frillish just running around everywhere. That I think is the number one point that people playing Dango have to be concerned about this weekend. Uh, there are a lot of different ways that you can answer that. You got Monkey with a dark energy. That's something that we were talking about a little bit. I actually thought that this was a really good idea, um, especially against like the random Frillish. They don't really item lock you on turn one. It's more so like a mid game item lock, so you have the opportunity to get that monkey with the dark energy on, and it essentially blocks any good Frillish lines.
Yeah.
You also have the Mega Lopunny, you got the Lana's Aid, you got the Vitality Band package that is impactful against Frillish, right? So I think my personal choice for this weekend, if I'm playing Dango, is to respect Frillish pretty hard, and I'm really looking at Lana's Aid and Monkey with a dark energy. I think those cards are very impactful in that matchup.
Yeah, I think the Lopunny is also quite good. I think the problem with all of these is reliability. Like you mentioned the monkey. If you get turn one item locked, you can't vessel for the dark. With the Lopunny, if you like, yes, you can Arven for Evo. You gotta have Baniri. And you kind of also need your other Pokemon, right? So like, we have Nest Ball on our opening hand. It's getting Lunatone Soul Rock. We need Gimme Ghouls. We need Evo. So a lot of the times, Lopunny doesn't come online. And then the Baniri, if it comes down in the mid game at any point, just kind of dies. So, and I also think Lana's Aid doesn't particularly work. Um, it does prevent being decked out by Frillish, which is like a real thing, but it doesn't block the Devo lines where you're like Frillishing into like the Devo on all the Dangos, um, which like the full Jelly Guardy build does that Devo thing. I think like the Charm build can't really play for that line.
No,
Even if do they even play Devo, I don't even think they play a Devo, right?
no, the Frillish is like an ends to a mean, or like a means to an end for knocking out like the two rocks and buying yourself like a turn or two in the middle.
So
You
like
can,
Monkey a few times.
yeah, like get
Yeah.
two monkeys set up. You send 60 over to a rock and just hit with a bravery charm Frillish. They whiff an attack for a turn.
I think what would be like the most annoying, honestly, is like some kind of supporter that heals damage. Like even just like Turo is annoying, like three Turos, or like what would it be? There's like that one supporter, I think it's called Saguaro, that heals 50 from two guys. Is that what that does? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay. There's actually there's one in the black and white set. I think it's called like Fennel. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'll I'll quickly. I gotta switch over to our our screen
The screen
share
share tab.
overlay. Yeah, let's see if I can pull it up. I think it's called Fennel, right? Yeah, it's Fennel. Heal 40 from each of your Pokemon. I think that's actually better.
Yeah.
It's
Like if you played 1/1 Lopunny and this card, like if someone had this in their Dango deck and I was playing against them, I would lose because I would play into it like so hard. I'd be spreading for the Devo play, and then this would just completely blow me out. So, um, is this worth doing? I don't know. But if you want to beat Jelly Guardy, I think it's probably the best. Oh my god, we got a Mega Venusaur list with one. That cannot be good.
hey man, maybe they're going for the Devo line into Mega Venusaur. It's
Yeah,
crazy how it
prevent
ends up
their
being.
dude. Ivysaur has like 120 HP or something. It's like not getting devoed or 110.
It's got 110.
That's a lot of HP. Holy cow! When
Dude,
did stage ones get so big?
that's the same that Charmeleon's got. They buffed the heck out of stage ones in Mega Evolutions. They got the 100 HP Curlia as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're becoming a 400 HP Mega Pokemon, I mean, it probably makes sense to have more than 90 HP, 100 HP.
Yeah, maybe. So I think all of our talking has concluded that most of our tech cards are at least semi unreliable, but you probably want something in there. I do like at least that the Evo is pretty versatile. I've actually changed my
Yeah,
opinion on that Evo quite a bit. I think being able to Evo into Lopunny under item lock is powerful, but also just being able to make Dengos against Dragapult is really important. This is the one that I do want to talk about because this Evo 1/1 Lopunny list that I've seen quite a bit. We'll playing three Dengos. I hate three Dengos, man. I've seen a lot of three Dengo lists, and I think three Dengos is okay if you don't expect a ton of Pull Noir. So at least for this weekend, I think I would be looking at four Dengos because there's just gonna be so much Pull Noir, and I just don't think I can justify playing three Dengos in that economy. This is master specific. I got like a few juniors playing three Dengos. This is not for you. This less item lock in juniors are gonna be okay. But in masters, there's like so much Dragapult Dusknoir. I don't I don't think I can ever justify playing a three Dengo list. I
yeah,
think it's very, very greedy. You prize one Dengo against Dragapult Dusknoir. You prize a Dengo against Jelly Guardy, and I think you just have really, really
that's
big
bad too.
issues. I'm for Dengo Club all the way.
You also don't want Genis. Like, it's fine, but you really don't want Genesect on the board against Pult. Creates an opportunity for them, especially if you like use your Prime Catcher early and then have a Genesect, you can get trapped. So you'd rather just draw the Dangos under the item lock, evolve.
I have a Okay, I had a game that came up this week, and I wanted to hear your input on it. So I was
Hmm.
playing from the Dragapult side, and then there was a Gholdengo, and they like opened double rocks, they opened double Gimme Ghoul, and then they like played a nest ball for a third Gimme Ghoul. And I was
Yeah.
like sitting on Iono and Lilies, and I like looked at that situation and said, "Okay, well if they didn't have Dangos in hands, they would have nest ball for Genesect." And then I just like slammed an Iono on turn one and Itchy Ball, and then they like lost the game very, very quickly afterwards.
Sick.
So how do you feel about like nest balling for Genesect, even if you have like a Dango in your hand? Is this like too high of a level of a read to like play into? Is like a random Iono super credible here? Like what do you
I think a random Iono is super credible, right? Like Pult plays four Ionos, and it's like a complete. It's not like they're dying to play a turn one Arvin or something, right? So
yeah.
mm, I think the question is how cooked are you when you get Ionoed and you have no Dango? Seems pretty bad to me. Mm.
Yo,
I think if you have
that's always how
like a
you lose the
fighting
matchup.
energy, yeah, if you have like a fighting energy on Soul Rock, then maybe it's fine. I think it also depends on your perception from the Dango side. Like, if you get the Genesect and you get your two Dangos, and you like, are you confident you're just gonna win that game? And if you are, you shouldn't be like getting greedy and trying to get this like triple Dango board if you think the double Dango is good enough. I don't know if I think. I mean, two Dangos is better than zero. Um, I don't know. I don't hate just Nest Ball for a Gimme Ghoul on turn one. I,
Yeah.
I think like double Dango is a little weak. Your draw power is a little because like eventually you're gonna get Ionoed, Pult's gonna come up, and you need to find 8 energies. And like is two Dangos enough draw
Yeah.
power to get there? Potentially one if they like just go like Dustnor, blow up your
Yeah.
Dango. I don't
I
know.
think pretty commonly like Dusclops one, Halucha, you bench the Gimme Goal late, and then kill Gimme plus
Yep.
Gholdengo, and then your draw power looks pretty iffy. It's a really really weird spot because in that game I just like counter catcher to Gimme, and then Iona and Itchy Ball and this around the Soul Rock, and they didn't find Air Balloon, so they just got stuck. And with a Genesect on the
Oh
board,
my gosh.
they were at least like going to be able to draw 2 cards per turn, but they
Yeah.
just got like completely stuck, and then they just got board wiped on turn 3, maybe turn 4. But
Mhm.
I thought it was interesting where you like can
Yeah.
win the game on the spot with like a good read there if you think that their hand is bad or hand is good.
That's also like kind of hate those positions in regionals when I like don't know who my opponent is or how much Pokemon they play, and then they do that. They nest ball for the third Gimme Ghoul on turn one, and I'm like, does he have the greatest hand of all time, or did he just not think about the fact that he has no Dango in hand for next turn, right? And like, I don't know. That makes those spots even more interesting.
It's hard, yeah, it's hard to give good credibility in Pokemon because your sample set is like so low. Like you always compare it to like poker, right? Where in poker you get to play hundreds, thousands of hands and gain a lot of information from
Yeah.
how the tendencies your opponent has. So if they play bad, then you can exploit it much better. Like Pokemon, you can't because if you make the wrong read on one hand, like you just you don't get more opportunities. You're just
Yeah.
dead. So it then rewards like not reading too much into it unless you think that your opponent is like really really good and you know your opponent is for sure really really good, right?
Yeah. That's where the pregame small talk comes in. Oh, where are you from? How many regionals have you played? Hit him with the what decks did you used to play? Oh, you used to play a lot of Raging Bolt.
Oh no.
Hmm.
Oh no.
Anyways,
Definitely not
um,
slamming the Iono down in that case.
no, nope. That's funny.
Okay.
Uh,
We
you want to talk
can
some Pult now?
yeah, we can talk some pull. This might be
This
a
is my time to
short
shine.
segment, but you're the
Yep,
master here. What's going
yep.
on
Here
with
we go. All
Dragapult?
right. I mean, a lot of it was in my video. My video was pretty long, so just to kind of summarize all the information that was in that video. I think that playing heavy Budews and heavy Brock scouting is really good in Pult this weekend. I think it makes your deck a lot better in the Pult Mirror. I think it makes your deck a lot better against Jelly Guardy. Um, and those are two of the decks I think are the best. I think it makes you worse for Stango, but I think it's very significant. And I just don't really think it's that significant. Deck is a good Donzard matchup. That's pretty sick. As far as like card inclusions and new developments, there really isn't any to go over other than the Budews and the Brocks.
Do you
It was
are you have you tried the Moltres out? I've seen a
Yeah, I
few
was about to
lists of
mention
that.
that. Yeah. Um, I just don't think it's that good. I think like even if you do get to kill a Genesect, it's actually very hard for you to find like a good prize map from there. Like you have to have them like Soul Rock kill something and have Genesect on the board and then immediately punish with Moltres and then also segue into pull afterwards, which I just think like doesn't work out a whole lot of the time, especially because like if you have Moltres and you have a cloak on the bench with an energy, they might just like boss kill your cloak, like Dango discard two, and then you need Neo Upper, or else you're like, I mean, you can hit for 220.
Hey, you can
Um,
Dusclops one. You like Dusclops
yeah, you
one
like
and then
Dusclops.
knock out a second Dingo. Still like, really annoying to knock out the third Dingo, but like that's not
Yeah,
horrible.
and like in some contexts, like Dusclopsing ruins it. Like if you're relying on Moltres being a one prizer, I don't know. I didn't test it super extensively, but I think I'm not convinced it just instantly solves the matchup, and I'm convinced it's very useless everywhere else. I think everywhere else.
It's probably useless everywhere else. It Moltres is interesting in Charizard against Zoroark as like a thing that you can punch into a Zoroark to set up with a
Yeah,
two shot. I think Dragapult occasionally has issues with setting up
yeah,
two shot
I
on a
do too.
Zoroark, so I don't think that is completely trivial, but that's also like a whatever 2% deck, so not super super worth worrying about with a deck inclusion. Yeah, I think the Moltres is only okay. I do think the Defiance band is kind of gimmicky with the
Yeah,
Moltres. I think it's actually hard to use it when
never
behind.
have it.
Well, even if you do have it, and then you just take a two prize knockout, and now you're, let's say you're one prize ahead, and they take a one prize knockout back. Well, it just kind of sucks to suck, right? Like
Doesn't work.
you're just tied now, right? It only really works if you, then they have to take a two prize knockout and then have to play into Defiance Band again. But since Dragapult doesn't have any other one shot threats, they're not really needing to one shot a threat, right? Like there's nothing
Yeah,
that's really an active threat, right? You always have some sort of comeback mechanic with Picnic Basket, Turo, something like that.
yeah. Unless like if you have like Fez and Genesect on the board, then Polt can like do some prize racing stuff, where it's like 2-2-2. But for the most part, um, yeah, you can make some good comebacks.
Yeah. Are you gonna have Genesect
One,
and Fez on the board in a Moltres board? Like no.
like no, just don't do that. One other thing I want to call out, which I realized as I was playing more games with Polt, is that Watchtower also kind of collaterals Polt in like a really specific, annoying way, in that it blocks Blood Moon. So just be aware that like if you're playing, you're playing a game, your game plan revolves around bear for game on the last turn, and your opponent could be playing random Watchtower. Be thinking of that, right? Don't just like throw like sometimes jamming towers are cards in certain matchups where you're like, okay, this card just does nothing. Like um, not Guardy. It does a lot against Guardy. What are the matchups like? What are the matchups
Not
where Jamming Tower doesn't do a lot? Like Sarah Ledge or like
Ledge is a great example actually because they can play Watchtower and they can also play Battle Cage.
yeah. And so just be aware that like if your final attack is supposed to be Blood Moon, you might want to be like looking for Jamming Tower off Recon because your opponent might like randomly throw it on a Watchtower. Um, yeah,
No, I think that
that's it.
logic is really good. I think, but I also just think that doubles over to Battle Cage being legal now. I think
Yeah,
you're almost never tossing away your stadiums when you have a commanding lead. You just want to have access to defeat random edge case scenarios. Like it's like holding on to Turo, right? Like holding on to
yeah,
Turo is really really strong if your opponent has a random duck in their deck or a random retreat lock and you play against a Grimmsnarl and you're winning the game a ton and then suddenly you toss your Turo and your Fez gets trapped or something like that, right? You just don't want
and
these
then
things
you
to happen.
lose.
So it's definitely important to hold on to those cards if those scenarios are like possible comeback routes for your opponent.
Yeah, and like think about your opponent's deck, like if it makes sense for them to play those cards, right? Like Donzard is not playing Watchtower. They're probably not playing Psyduck. Well, they're definitely not playing Psyduck, I would assume.
Oh,
Oh, am I wrong?
dude, there
Psyduck's
is
the anti-Dragapult tech? I don't know. Sure, they might have a side. Okay, but the point being, if you play against a deck that's like colorless ability based, there's probably not a Watchtower. And if you play against a deck with Dusknoir, there's probably not a Duck.
no, probably not. Wait,
Right, but if they're
but
playing like the
I'm playing a
what's like the
duck,
meme template where it's like the odds of getting attacked by a duck is low. You know what I'm talking about? That
but
meme?
never
But
zero.
yeah, but never zero.
Dude, the chance of getting hit by like black belt Zard. This
Is
is
low, but never zero.
and it's got the retreat lock, man. I was gonna mention that like the random
What the
wellspring here,
heck?
right? You can
Yeah,
run into the little wellspring retreat lock and the little side deck, right? Dragapult is gonna get in trouble in two different ways here. Imagine you're
no doubt.
playing against this and you just drop your Fez after they knock out your Badoo. They're sob trapping you, and then you start dropping Duskulls and you Turo it, and then suddenly they trap your
They
Dusknoir.
sidelock. I would crash out. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
control Zard on top right here, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
All
Dragapult
right.
doesn't have too much going on. It's more so like playstyle changes. You're just very reactive. You're just like
Yeah.
probably the most reactive deck in the format. Right? Just have to your deck is so versatile, but you just have to make sure you're guarding against all of your opponent's outs, all of their high roll plays, right? So I think that is yeah, that's a good place to call it. Actually, I don't really want to dive
Okay.
too deep into these off meta decks, but
Yeah.
if you guys are playing a top four deck this weekend, which you probably should be, uh, these are good things for you guys to keep an eye out for. I think in terms of frequency here. Watchtower for Donsard is going to be at the top of the list. If you run into a Mega Absol, they're going to have a Watchtower for sure. If you run into a Guardy, there's a decent chance. If you run into a Dragapult, I've even seen some Pulsards running around with Watchtower, stuff like that. Uh,
Yeah, I can
that's
see that.
definitely probably the tech of the week here. I think it's going to be overrepresented. So keep that in mind as our finalizing list for this weekend.
Maybe pack a Chien-Pao if you're playing Donsard.
Shout out CPOW, the GOAT.
CPAO. What were they called again?
The board of directors.
The board of directors. We gotta get their opinion on the CPAO tech
Yeah.
in this economy.
You do you
All right.
remember that no, you remember that thumbnail? Like the all of the board of
Were they
directors,
wearing
like
suits?
yeah, like I think Kieran made like a Chen Pao class or something on YouTube, and
Yeah.
like all they're all sitting in the board of directors.
So that picture was tough.
Yeah, that's super. All right. Well, best of luck at Toronto regionals this weekend, guys. If you see us at the venue, please come and say hi. Looking forward to chatting with some of you guys. Hopefully.
Yeah. Peace.